on preparing to give effective Rotary presentations. So with that, I'll just introduce Karen briefly. So Karen comes by way of an involvement with her Rotary Club in Madison, Wisconsin. She's also been incredibly involved with a group called the Environmental Sustainability Rotarian Action Group, which she helped found and is currently the chair of. And she's also been very active as a CCL volunteer in the Madison chapter and a former liaison to Wisconsin Congressional District 02. Without further ado, I'll pass it to you, Karen, and we'll look forward to learning more about engaging and interacting with Rotary clubs.
So quickly, the story. I was at my cabin in mid-Michigan thinking about my 6-month-old granddaughter the weekend that carbon dioxide hit 400 parts per million in Mauna Loa. And that same weekend, I listened to an episode of This American Life, and who should be on it but the episode Hot in My Backyard with Bob Inglis talking about how hard it was to find the right group of conservative people to talk to. I was a relatively new member to Rotary, and I said, oh, I need to do my climate change work in Rotary, because I was in Rotary and I hadn't yet found CCL. Since then, I've tried to merge those two activities. And the reason there's a picture of a railroad track is I've had a little frustration with that. I kept trying to make these two straight lines intersect. And it's only recently that I've realized that Rotary and CCL are parallel railroad tracks. So hang on to that metaphor as I talk you through how to approach your local Rotary club. So Rotary began as a fellowship of business leaders who wanted to improve their ethics, had networking, socializing, and making a difference in their community and their larger world through service. So by the numbers, Rotary has 1.2 million members in 35,000 clubs in nearly 200 countries. Rotary is organized in districts. You won't find a national Rotary. The individuals belong to Rotary clubs, and the clubs belong to Rotary International, which has a 16-member board. And the money that Rotary asks all of us to give all the time and earn our Paul Harris Fellows, our little pins, is what pays for their global grants, for their service projects around the world, and their polio eradication campaign. So Rotary's signature project has been to eradicate polio. In 1985, when Rotary decided it would put its all into vaccination campaigns to eradicate polio, there were 350,000 cases of this crippling disease every year. This year, currently, there have been 14 wild polio virus cases. That's all. So as they like to say, we're this close to ending polio. It's now endemic only in Pakistan, Afghanistan, and Nigeria. And in the past years, Rotary's collected $1.7 billion. To get rid of the last traces will take an incredible other $1.5 billion. The link with polio and climate change is that the extreme weather events of flooding and rainfall compromise water and sanitation systems. Polio is fecally born. So when the poop washes out of the latrine back into the river, it can undo and frustrate your efforts to eradicate polio. That was my entry point to talking to Rotarians about climate change, and that helped them get it. When you meet a Rotarian, commend him for his generosity or her generosity and success in this regard. So Rotary's values are service above self, making a difference, doing good in the world, and we judge our conduct against the 4-way test. Certainly, if you tick through climate change, is it the truth? Yes. Is it fair to all concerned? No, it's not fair that the pollution of the developed countries is going to kill the people and ruin the ecosystem in the undeveloped countries. Will it build goodwill and better friendship to address climate change? Certainly. Will it be beneficial to all concerned? yes, solving climate change is something that will be good for all of us. Catherine Hayhoe, she saw the four-way test banner at the Rotary Club she was speaking to, and it inspired her, and it's been a good intro to Rotary clubs. As long as you do it not by preaching at them about their test, but honoring what a valuable framework it is for all of our activities. Rotary does its projects. It doesn't promulgate or have policy positions. It has 6 areas of focus: education, maternal and child health, disease, preventing conflict, finding peace, especially water and sanitation, and promoting economic and community development. You don't get a grant in Rotary unless your project affects one of those areas. You'll want to study this banner offline. This is how SRAG, our action group, relates environmental sustainability as an ethic that should be incorporated into each of the areas of focus. Rotary has an action group that deals with environmental sustainability. We wanted to call it the Climate Change Action Group, but they told us the board probably wouldn't approve it, so we changed the name. It turns out that if you've ever been a Rotary Fellow, an exchange student, you have a parent, a child, a spouse who's a Rotarian, you're part of the Rotary family and you can join our Rotarian Action Group without being a Rotarian. This year is a very special year because our current president, Ian Risley, introduced his theme of making a difference, and he wanted to manifest that difference by calling every Rotarian to the cause of environmental sustainability, which is and ought to be the concern of every Rotarian. And he said to symbolize that, he wanted all 1.2 Rotarians to make sure they planted an extra tree that they wouldn't have planted otherwise and have it done by next Earth Day. He understands that climate change will undermine the good works of Rotarians. But as he has stated that from the pulpit of Rotary, there's been some pushback, sadly, and you need to know that going in. So here's the sticky point. Citizens climate lobbyers are out there to build political will. Rotary is proud of being apolitical. Think of those railroad tracks. We don't have any policy positions except the complete eradication of polio. Many service clubs require you to be nonpartisan. So no campaigning at Rotary, and if you have candidates for office in, you have to have everybody in. But Rotary goes further. You can't take a club cannot take a position on a pending controversial public measure or circulate resolutions or opinions. So never ask a Rotary club to endorse carbon and fee and dividend legislation. That's a non-starter for the Rotary Club. But Rotary clubs are still great for us for exchanging ideas, and that's because at the same time that they ban being political, Rotarians are encouraged to engage with public questions involving the general welfare of the community, the nation, and the world. So clubs can't be political, but the individuals in your club that you're speaking to who choose to be can. There's your opening for your CCL presentation. So every Rotary club needs a speaker every week. If you know someone is a Rotarian, ask how you can get to present at their club. My club has almost 500 members, and you can wait 18 months to get a spot in the podium. But a small town club might need you to come in 20 minutes if their organized speaker was sick. So you can get on a waiting list, and smaller clubs are easier to get into than others. We'll talk later offline about how to get phone numbers and things like that. Before you even approach a club about being a speaker, look them up online. Most every club has a web page or a Facebook presence, and then you can find out a little about what's important to that club. It's the beginning of building a relationship. I didn't say this, but just as you dress up to lobby Congress in business attire, you'd want to go the same way to Rotary Club. It's a group of business leaders. Once you're at the meeting, chat with the members about the club activities and participate. Some clubs are singing clubs, so sing along. They'll provide the lyrics or recite the Pledge of Allegiance or the four-way test with them. Some clubs raise money by having you put $1 in the basket and telling them your week's good news, or offering you a chance to buy a 50-50 raffle ticket. Bring small bills so that you can play along. When the announcements and preliminaries are over, you'll have only 15 to 25 minutes to present, including questions, and the timing is, some clubs promise their members to finish in 60 minutes, but plan to stay after and chat at the end. Bring your CCL business cards and a simple brochure and flyer. When you're speaking, be sure to take time to appreciate the club's service projects and the benefits they give to your community. Their worldwide efforts with polio and global projects, the funding of scholarships. Relate climate change action to Rotary's values. Climate change is a humanitarian crisis. I think we're looking for a way to move it beyond political. Underscore how reducing emissions by pricing carbon has the potential to enhance and support the Rotary projects underway. And acknowledge that you understand the club can't endorse, but do specifically invite the community leaders to join CCL in its quest for solutions. And Rotary provides the perfect grass tops opportunity. Most speakers say 1 or 2 or even 3 people say, well, Joe, Joanne, why don't you join Rotary? Well, don't brush that off. CCL does legislative advocacy on a policy track. It's very political. Rotary is the service organization that focuses on being apolitical. Consider being the tie that keeps these 2 tracks close and working together. The best way to build support for carbon fee and dividend among Rotarians is probably to become one. It's easiest to keep the conversation going from within. Rotary will make progress toward lifting up environmental sustainability as a value within Rotary if clubs say, you know, that environmental sustainability tree challenge, it brought me a new member. So you'll be doing CCL's work by joining Rotary, and you'll be glad you did. I'm a lawyer. These are my opinions, my ideas, and my interpretation. If you share them with someone and they scream at you that Rotary doesn't work that way, blame only me. Thank you.
I love it, Karen. Thank you. This was wonderfully done. And I'll just close by showing this page as well. Thank you so much for making it tonight. We look forward to being in touch, and you are the backbone of why we have success as an organization. So keep up the great work in the field, and we look forward to being in touch soon.